Hello and welcome to the Happier at Work podcast with your host, Aoife O'Brien. The podcast for anyone who wants to be happier at work. We spend so much of our time at work. Everyone deserves to be happier at work. Welcome to episode 1 of the Happier at Work podcast, where I'm talking to Furkan Karayel about diversity and inclusion. Together we look at what impact does a diversity and inclusion program have? What are the priorities, or where should companies begin when it comes to D&I? What trends are the current trends at the moment? And the most important question, how to be happier at work using diversity and inclusion. We also look at things like how Ireland compares to other countries in relation to diversity and inclusion, and what brings Furkan joy in the workplace. Let's get started. So welcome, Furkan, to the Happier at Work podcast. Would you like to introduce yourself to our listeners?
Sure. Thank you very much for the invitation, Aoife. My name is Furkan Karayel. I am the founder of Diverse In, which is a diversity and inclusion platform that we bring people from different backgrounds together to make equal and happier workplaces.
Fantastic. And can you tell me a little bit more about your background and how you got into this?
Sure. I'm actually a software engineer, and I worked in tech companies in Ireland for 10 years before I started Diverse In. And women in tech was always my passion from very young ages. I always wanted to start an initiative about women in tech and getting more women into technology, to tech related roles, and women in the leadership as well. So that was my passion.
Fantastic.
Then after working as a software engineer, I realized that actually if we bring all different voices together from unrepresented groups, including disabilities at workplace, and LGBT people, or different ethnic and cultural background people, then our voice will be even heard better, and we will be an ally to each other, and we will get into inclusive workplaces earlier. So that was my mission, actually, to start Diverse In.
Brilliant. So you saw an opportunity to promote diversity, for want of a better word, to bring people together and to have a collective voice and a shared voice.
Yeah, well, I can't really say that I saw this as an opportunity. I actually wanted to be part of an organization that supports all diverse communities, and I looked for it, but I couldn't find one. Then I didn't want to bring another initiative about women in tech. I wanted to really look at from a broader perspective. And I searched for other people who are expert on different communities, and people connected with me. It started as a community work, and then that's how it all evolved later on.
And it all evolved from there.
Yeah.
Fantastic. What a fantastic initiative.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So can you explain a little bit more about what diversity and inclusion really means?
Yeah, diversity for me is getting people into the table, having people from all different perspectives into your organization or to your environment. And inclusion is basically sharing the cake on the table together.
Okay, brilliant.
Yeah, that is my perspective for inclusion, and inclusion is where we want to achieve, but it comes with diversity.
Okay, I see. And what is the impact that has on an organization?
There are actually many research shows that diverse and inclusive workplaces increase productivity. It increases happiness at workplace, and it also brings better products. It also relates to increasing revenue, but they're looking at different organizations, they experience different benefits for diversity. At the end of the day, we all want to be happy and joyful at the workplace, that we are giving most of our time during the day. So that is that can be achieved by bringing more people, bringing different people into the organization to our environment, and including them in the journey.
Fantastic. So it's really, you might say, about bringing your whole self to work and being able to be yourself at work. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, that's so important. At the end of the day, we are not robots, and we can't be expected to behave like in certain norms. Everyone has their authentic self, and it's so important to bring that authentic voice into the workplace. If we put a mask into our face each morning when we are going to work, and if we are not being ourselves, then it's so tiring. Like we can't really, it is not sustainable, it's not going to be productive, and it's, at the end of the day, it's not a happy environment to work for. So bringing your own self, authentic voice to where you work, where you spend most of your time, is so important. That's where many organizations must open up an opportunity for people to become themselves and to be accepted at the same time.
Great. Are there many organizations, or do you know this, that have a diversity and inclusion program, or that they're running one?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are many organizations. It's according to the research, actually, many organizations either want to start and they believe in the benefits of having a diverse and inclusive working environment. However, they don't know where to start.
Okay.
What are the priorities and etc. So this is the main problem that we are solving with diverse. And actually, we are offering and opening up a conversation with them and starting their diversity journey from scratch. So, like, even though they all believe at this stage, it's a journey that they have to take the step to discover what they can actually do, because every organization structure and their needs and their priorities are different. So it's all like opening up the conversation and starting from these programs are great. I know many also organizations have already started to these journeys, but we can say none of them have completed something. I mean, in terms of nobody have reached to the final destination, because this is all learning processes, and we are all in the journey, either at the beginning or close to the end. So it's that is the current situation.
So it's a continuous journey, and
Yes,
maybe you never
absolutely.
reach the destination because you're continually learning, you're continually implementing new practices.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
There will be always new challenges. The trends will change. We have trends for diversity as well, and we have to accommodate those trends in the working in our workplaces as well. And depending on the organization structure, we need to really see what needs to be done there, or why do actually they want to start it. Starting with why,
Yes.
as Simon Sinek says,
Yeah.
is the key as well.
Okay. Great. So what would you say are the current trends?
Well, we actually published an article about the trends. So I can mention one of them is, you hear many companies are in media getting into let's say, like, scandals about discrimination, racism, and so on. Like, Me Too moments are another things that people really talking about and opening up with the following of unconscious bias trainings at workplaces. in some cases, they are actually forcing people not to even communicate with people from different backgrounds. So we need to more be conscious about how actually we can balance that. So with the current situations going on within the world, that we need to be really careful about how we are delivering something that will have an impact, that will work for that organization.
Okay. And you mentioned earlier that in dealing with different organizations, each organization is quite unique. So it's probably difficult to maybe have a generalized approach. But are there any tips that you would give, just on how to get started? So you mentioned about starting with why. Like, why do you want to have a diversity and inclusion program? But what would be the first step towards making it happen?
Yeah, the first thing I would say, as you said, why do you want it? What are your priorities? Where do you think that, in what way you think that you will want to see the benefits of it? What are your metrics and etc. The second thing is, I would ask is, are you really engaged with your employees? According to the statistics, over 80% of employees are not really engaged where they work for.
Yeah.
So are we really engaged? Because it all starts up with the conversation, with the right tone. And the third is, I can say, how can you turn your problems, let's say, or issues into a solution with the employees that you have as a part of the solution. So that means if there are things to do, there are always things to do in terms of, engaging with employees or listening to other communities or getting these people together and etc. So including employees' voices in the solutions and giving them responsibility and letting them bring a solution that they design brings a great solution, because they are the people who will be affected with the outcome of this, and they own the problem. Once they own the problem and the solution that they bring, that's going to be more successful than somebody is coming and lecturing about the theories 1, 2, 3 and etc. So these are my 3 tips, actually.
Brilliant. I love so much that you're talking about including the staff, the existing employees, in kind of formulating the diversity and inclusion program, because that speaks volumes in itself, because the clue's in the title, inclusion, so including existing employees. I think that's
and then
brilliant.
They can be the ambassador for their own inclusive environment. So they will be the people who will be running, they will be the people who will be bringing more better solutions. They will be the ones who will bring more feedbacks and maybe retest the program or the activities, the solution, and so on. So I think that's one of the keys.
Fantastic. That's great. Thank you. And you mentioned about employee engagement and how 80% of people worldwide are not currently engaged in the workplace. Do you think that there's anything that we can do to address that using diversity and inclusion?
Well, yes. With diversity initiatives starts with engagement. So without the good engagement, the diversity and inclusion, works and activities cannot really start.
Okay.
So this is the main point to start. So in whatever the environment that you want to work for, you want to feel engaged. That means your voice is counted and it's taken into consideration, and you acknowledge that as well, which is very important. According to another survey by HBR, Harvard Business Review, it says 90% of employees want to feel joy at work. However, when it comes to actual feeling of joy, it's down to 37%. That shows me many people have good intention to open up about their needs and their expectation about the work. But if they are working in an environment that doesn't listen to them or doesn't take their voice into an account, then they have no other option than either working there until they find another job, or leaving straight away, or burning out, or imposter syndrome, and etc. You know this better than I do, Aoife. I know that you have a lot of articles about imposter syndrome.
Yeah. I certainly do. Become known as the Imposter Lady recently. So,
well, it's great to have somebody talking about these, vulnerabilities and imposter syndromes and etc.
Definitely.
So, in engagements is completely related to a employees' happiness at workplace.
Yeah.
And the research shows that they have a high expectation of feeling joyful. However, they don't actually feel.
Yeah.
So this gap shows that, to me, that there is a big missing piece from the employer's perspective. What do you think of this?
It's interesting that they use the word joy specifically. It makes me think of Marie Kondo and the idea of sparking joy. And
yes, to me as well.
Yeah.
Of that.
Although I'm talking happiness at work, the word joy itself, to me, I probably wouldn't associate necessarily with work. So it's an interesting choice of words. But it's fascinating that 90% of people want to feel joy at work, but only 37% actually do. And that is related to basically feeling heard at work and having your needs met. That's an area that I'm doing my research for my dissertation. I'm looking into how need satisfaction at work relates to job satisfaction and engagement. So it's an area I'm particularly passionate about. So thanks for bringing that up.
Very good, very good. We also recently did a survey for women in the workplace. If you want, I can share the results of the report. So basically, we had, in our research, we had 75% of the attendees from diverse backgrounds, and the rest are from local people. So it says that basically, for 100%, flexibility is the key for them to feel satisfied at their workplace.
Okay, yeah. And was there a specific type of flexibility?
Flexibility in terms of working hours.
Okay.
Working from home, commuting times, and etc.
Fantastic.
So this is 100%. And for the productivity, the 75% prefers to have a space that they can actually either meditate or have a short nap at their workplace. Because of the long commuting hours, 75% of them needs a space that they can relax during lunchtime. And another one says that 75% of them actually says that they like to celebrate their birthday at workplace, which was very surprising to me, because I never like to celebrate my birthday.
I always like to celebrate my birthday at work, so I would be within that 75%.
Yeah, and 88% of them says they had a toxic manager or a negative person who impacted their career in a negative way in their journey or in their career.
Yeah, basically. I can definitely relate to that. Definitely relate. It's interesting about the flexibility, and the reason I asked about what kind of specific type of flexibility was because that I just wanted to drill in and understand, was it to do with the working hours? Because that relates back to one of our basic needs as humans, which is autonomy. So if we have control over the number of hours that we work or where we work, so if you have the opportunity to work from home, to be flexible in terms of when you show up to the office and when you leave the office. So I know that in my last workplace we had that, and it was a fantastic initiative in terms of deciding, you could miss the traffic by arriving early or arriving later, and kind of leaving at corresponding times then. But it's really, really important in terms of driving job satisfaction, is this sense of autonomy or control over what it is that you're doing and how you're doing it. So that's really interesting.
I completely agree with the flexibility. In today's world, I think this is, and even they said that flexibility is more important than the salary they receive.
Yeah, I think once you reach a kind of a minimum needs requirement, let's say, for a salary, I think the other factors start to become more important then. So if you have enough money to live on and to live comfortably, to live in a similar lifestyle that you're used to, then I think the other factors are the ones that really become more important in terms of driving that engagement and satisfaction. I had a question for you in relation to Ireland. And how Ireland compares to other countries in relation to diversity and inclusion programs, if you have any thoughts on that.
Diversity initiatives are a little bit new for Ireland, comparing to US and the UK. But I think we are ahead of mainland Europe in this sense. Again, comparing to UK, we are nearly like 5 to 10 years behind with the initiatives and with the actions that we are taking on in terms of consultancies, in terms of building employee networking groups, or engaging with people in terms of getting more inclusive workplaces. But from another side, Ireland has gone through a long way for bringing awareness. We were not really talking about inclusion like 5 years ago. I haven't really heard much going on in the media or in the workplaces. However, diversity was a little bit, the buzzword about like a few years ago. But in the last, I can say 2 to 3 years, it became really a trend for organizations, and especially here in Ireland. And many organizations, even though they were not really thinking to do something about it, now with the demographics of Ireland changing and with the new talents that Ireland is bringing to the workforces, they feel more open to bringing some solutions to their companies. So it's changing so much between then and now. So it's in a good way. So it's we are still in the journey. The awareness, building awareness is great. We are talking about how we can actually solve our, diversity or inclusion related problems now than 5 or 10 years ago. I think the next step could be bringing more diverse voices into the leadership. So some people are not really still ready for that. They are thinking, why would we need people from different communities or different backgrounds in the leadership? The reason is it's not about bringing somebody different to the leadership, but it's about bringing an equality into the leadership. Because like many years ago, even now, if you look at the EY report, it will say like around like 80% of companies still don't have anybody in their director level from LGBT group, for example, or from different nationality background people, or different skin color people. So what it shows is, if we have a demographic of an organization which is around like 30% from a very diverse people, you would expect at least few people in the management level, because it's a diversity doesn't really mean that let's get people into the entry level just right after graduation. We have them in every single company related photos and etc. It means giving the same opportunity to them. It's not giving somebody a favor, it's giving the equal opportunity to anybody. Doesn't matter what their background is, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there was an event that I attended, and somebody mentioned a quote, and I really, really liked it. She said that there are people from migrant backgrounds, and many people want to empower them. However, she says they are already empowered, but they are looking for equal opportunity to get into jobs.
Okay.
So
I like that.
It's about giving the same opportunity to others. It's not about getting somebody different or painting the picture that will look good in the company photo.
Yes.
It's about the equality.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This is the same situation when somebody is applying for a job. They get 100 applications, but eventually they get to choose one person for the role. So they shortlist, let's say, 5 people, so that they have an interview with 5 people. So getting into the short list, what are the factors that would impact is maybe name of the applicants would be one of the things that people, some organizations wouldn't still say that, okay, we are not really looking at name of the person, but we consider them with their skills and whatever the experience they have on their CV. However, I don't believe that this is applied yet. So the names, their people's background is actually getting into account as if, okay, this person's name sounds a foreigner person. So would they have any legal issues working in Ireland? Is there any issues dealing what would be the first language of that person? It's not only about look, but what other things that bringing other people into the next level would cause for them. Well, it's difficult. Seriously, it's difficult to understand from others' perspective. But giving the same opportunity to people from wherever the background is in some cases it's not applied, and you can see it that it's it's not happening. Like, we don't see many people on the television from different backgrounds, while like 18% is a big number when you compare. Then why don't we actually see that many people in either like TV shows or in the news
and the media?
In the media, yes, or in the in the website, on like news channels and etc. So they all need more consideration. It's not that they have bad intention, but it's about the consideration. It's about the mindset of where our organization is going and what we actually want to bring into this environment to make people happy and joyful.
Great, brilliant. And so I'll round up our conversation with the question that I ask for all of the guests, which is, what makes you happier at work?
I am so happy to see the impact of my work for other people's careers. We educated over 250 people in our workshops. We published over 100 articles in diversein.com website, and we provided over 300 diversity tickets for either conferences or other workshops that people wouldn't either afford to go into those workshops. So, and every day, to be honest, when I get up and I feel like, oh my God, I have tons of emails to reply, I have this and this work, then I say, Furkan, these are the things that are bringing you joy, like Marie Kondo says.
Yes.
So don't rush them. This is something that you really enjoy. Take your time and enjoy your journey. This is what my motto is. If I don't enjoy the journey, then you do the things for like an obligatory, it's mandatory, I have to, but this is to bring me joy. So I see the joy when I go to a workshop, when I receive the feedbacks from our attendees, when I receive great conversations from other people. So this brings me joy. This makes me happy to help other people.
Brilliant. That's fantastic. Really love that. So if people want to get in touch with you, what is the best way? Sure.
They can contact us from diversein.com website, which is diversein.com, diversein. And they can find us in any social media accounts with the same name, and they can share actually what makes them happy at work, and we would be delighted to hear from them.
Brilliant. That's great. Thanks so much. I really enjoyed speaking to you today. I learned a thing or two for sure, and I hope you enjoyed the conversation as well.
Oh yes, it's my pleasure. Thank you very much for the invitation. I really enjoyed it.
Great. Thank you. Well, there you have it. Diversity and inclusion from Furkan Karayel. Having diversity in the workplace improves productivity, happiness, and allows employees to develop better products. A diversity and inclusion program allows you to bring your whole and authentic self to work. Overall, it's a learning process. It's really a journey that we're on together, and we learn as we go once we implement it. The key steps that Furkan outlined are: start with why. Ask yourself the question, are you engaged with your employees? And the third step is to include your employees in the solution. We also spoke about how important flexibility is, especially in relation to autonomy, which is one of the basic needs that everyone has in the workplace. So I hope you enjoyed that podcast number 1. If you'd like to reach out to me, you can find me on empowermentcoaching.ie. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram on empowermentcoaching.ie and Twitter at empowerment_ie. Thanks, and speak to you soon. Well, there you have it. Thanks for listening to the Happier at Work podcast with Aoife O'Brien. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to rate and review the podcast.